Applied Behavior Analysis by Rebecca and Abby. B.F. Skinner was the main psychologist behind the ideas and beliefs of the ABA program. He believed that humans do not have a free will and that all of our behavior was conditioned. He called this belief radical behaviorism. Through his experiments with positive and negative reinforcement, he was able to condition certain behaviors in rats, birds, and eventually humans. Skinner's end goal for his research was to condition behavior of entire societies to decrease societal conflict such as war or crime. However, since he believed that humans don't have free will, he faced a lot of criticism for his ideas, as people don't like to hear that they don't have a free will. However, his major focus on behavior and conditioning helped to shape the goals and methods of the ABA program. Psychology today defines applied behavior analysis, or ABA, as a type of therapy that focuses on improving specific behaviors such as social skills, communication, reading, academics, as well as adaptive learning and skills such as fine motor dexterity, hygiene, grooming, domestic capabilities, punctuality, and job competence.
So, as we had just talked about, applied behavior analysis focuses not only on the academics, but also with hygiene, grooming, domestic capabilities, and even more. This process is especially effective for children and adults with psychological disorders. This is used primarily for children with autism or individuals who have autism. It helps to increase their language and communication skills while improving attention, focus, social skills, memory, and academics, and it should overall decrease problem behaviors in these students, especially in the classroom. So for the applied behavior analysis process to best occur, positive reinforcement is key. Students or children will repeat a behavior, especially if it's followed by something that is valued. So first, the educator or therapist must identify a goal behavior for the particular person because it'll be different per person. So the behavior can be rewarded with either praise, a sticker, playground time, or just something that is meaningful for that person. With this process, there is an antecedent behavior consequence that goes with this. Antecedent is what happens before the behavior takes place, and consequence is what happens after the behavior. They normally call this just the ABCs. It is super important for educators to be able to understand why the behavior is happening, if they're wanting to stop a certain behavior from occurring, or if they're wanting to just tweak a behavior. Different consequences can affect whether or not the behavior occurs again, so this just, again, helps them understand how to stop something. So this is an example of the antecedent behavior and consequence scenario as it would take place in a classroom. So without the ABA intervention and without a positive reinforcement, something like this could happen. The antecedent would be the teacher saying, "Okay, class, make sure you're working on something productive," and then for the behavior, the student would yell no, and then the consequence, the student would receive a detention or is sent out of the classroom. Because this is not positive reinforcement, it's really unknown if this would help that particular student to not have this type of behavior again, or if it would just stimulate them into being more angry and then doing this more often. So with the ABA positive interventions, the antecedent could be, again, the same thing. The teacher saying, "Okay, class, make sure you're working on something productive." The behavior would be the student is reminded to ask politely for a break, and then as a consequence, the teacher would acknowledge the good behavior and allow the whole class to have a short break before beginning homework time. With the teacher acknowledging the student positively and allowing for this to happen because of the student's behavior being good, this would register in the student's behavior's brain, and then they would be more likely to be more polite next time.
ABA programs typically vary quite a bit depending on the individual that it's helping and the individual that it is created for, but many of them typically include determining which behaviors require change, setting goals and expected outcomes, establishing ways to measure changes and improvements, evaluating where you are now, learning new skills and/or learning how to avoid negative behaviors, regularly reviewing your progress, and deciding whether or not further behavior modification is necessary. So a lot of ABA programs really revolve around measuring the progress and learning how to improve based on that. So programs are usually very structured, taking up a great deal of time during the week and starting at an early age. One website that we found said that for children with autism, the best age to start them at is 4, and it usually takes around 20 hours a week to see progress.
So different types of goals that could be set in an ABA programming could include communication and language, social skills, self-care, academic and learning skills, motor skills, and leisure skills. It's important for these goals to be defined quickly because then the therapist can measure that person's individual growth and progress by the data collection each individual week.
So ABA is most effective in helping individuals overcome lifestyle challenges that come with various mental or physical health conditions, and it can help both children and adults alike. So the program usually varies for each person, and it depends on demographics, so race, age, gender, that kind of thing. With autism, ABA is most successful when intensely applied for more than 20 hours per week and beginning around the age of 4, as we stated earlier. For adults, ABA can also help aging adults cope with the losses that come with age, like memory, strength, and relationships.
As we have talked about, much of the applied behavior analysis occurs outside of the classroom, oftentimes with a therapist, but there are some tips that can be used by educators to help implement this into the classroom. It's important for the educators to make the students feel really included in the classroom work and with the other classmates. Using positive reinforcement when responding to behaviors, like with the example that we talked about earlier, this could especially help the children with autism. And educators could even help develop a behavior plan with individual students. This would especially be key with special education. This could be something like checking in every half hour with the student to check their progress with the work, and this would help them keep in mind what they need to be doing and keep them focused on the task at hand.
Some recommendations we found while researching. So ABA is for children and adults with moderate to severe psychological disorders, such as autism, PTSD, or other mental disabilities. Based on the research we found, ABA may not be as effective for students with behavioral issues not rooted in mental handicaps or students with learning disabilities. This is because a lot of the ABA programs are very, very rigorous and intense, and it takes a lot of outside of school time to really see improvement. And the methods of the ABA program typically won't work as well with students without mental handicaps. And it's usually has to be pretty severe in order to see real improvement using ABA programs. Thanks for listening, and we hope you were able to learn a little bit more about the ABA program.